Welcome to Celebrating Act 2. Celebrating Act 2 is the user manual for the second half of your life.
Welcome back to Celebrating Act 2 for another wonderful conversation with Manny Pacheco and my partner, John Coleman. How are you doing, John? Manny?
Uh, Manny, welcome. And I'm good. Manny, I wanted to say that Art misspoke there just a second ago.
Yeah.
He called me a partner. You see, really, the relationship is that he's my buddy. He's my sidekick.
Well,
You see where I'm going with this?
I
Great
see
side.
where you're going.
I'm Cisco. He's Poncho.
Oh,
oh. So,
I,
wait.
I'm
I'm
Roy
Tonto. I'm
Rogers.
Tonto and you're the
He's
Lone
in.
Ranger. Is that what it is here?
well,
I
let's
was
just.
saying, I'm Roy Rogers. You're Randy Devine.
Oh, and I bet I'm also Gabby Hayes someplace in
Oh,
your. Okay.
look.
Well, okay.
You
So,
got the
so
beard
John,
spread. Yeah,
John,
I get
this
it.
is the lead in here, but I consider us to be the three amigos.
Oh, I
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
Oh,
So the three amigos are going to be talking about buddies and sidekicks. Yeah.
And it's okay, Art, if you call John Kimosabi. There's no shame in that. Yes, the sidekick is a very valued tradition in Hollywood's golden age. You mentioned the westerns; that's a great place to start. But quite frankly, and sidekicks have appeared in all genres of movies. But let's begin with the western. The classic western has always had the saddle tramp, the sidekick, and quite frankly, I had a conversation with noted historian Carl Rollison, who agrees with me in my contention in my chapter about Walter Brennan in my books, The Forgotten Hollywood, Forgotten History, first book of the book series, that I stated that those saddle tramps, the Gabby Hayeses, the Walter Brennans, the Smiley Burnett's, and the like, actually probably resembled the real cowboy of the 19th century, much more so than, let's say, John Wayne or Gary Cooper or Randolph Scott. And it is my contention that that was when Hollywood was most accurate, when they had these grizzled, fuzzy, well worn, maybe they bathed kind of look that was really very popular in the westerns. So
yeah.
that so Gabby Hayes, Smiley Burnett, Andy Devine, they were all very much in line with the cowboys of the 19th century. So
That's
that's
that's really interesting. And yet, of course, in the movies, they were used as a device for comic relief. They
as
were the
actually in all the genres they were used for comic relief. I mean, if let's obviously the westerns, you got to have the saddle tramp, you got to have the cohort, you got to have that buddy or sidekick. But in the gangster or at least the whodunit detective movies,
yeah.
buddies were very, very popular. I can think of two offhand that really and great stories, and they're related stories if you think about it. In the Charlie Chan movies, of course, the number one or number two or number three sons. Well, Charlie Chan in the history of that series was played primarily by two actors, Warner Oland and Sidney Toler. Well, in the Warner Oland, the older Charlie Chan films, the sidekick was, of course, son number one, and that was played by the magnificent Key Luke. So that when
Yes.
Warner Oland passed away in 1938, Key Luke actually retired from the part. And so when they brought in Sidney Toler, they had a variety of other sons who would come in and play. And similarly, in the Sherlock Holmes series, the relationship, the real relationship, the back, not on-screen relationship, but the personal relationship between Basil Rathbone and Nigel Bruce, who played Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, was so close and so good that after about 16 episodes of the Sherlock Holmes series, when Nigel Bruce died in 1953, Basil Rathbone retired from playing Sherlock Holmes, and he never again played Sherlock Holmes on the radio, in television, or in the movies. That was his
Wow.
homage to Nigel Bruce. So, yes, the buddies are very, very important. One other buddy I want to mention, a different kind of a buddy, but still used for comic relief. If you think of the Thin Man series, you
Yeah.
can't ignore the fact that the dog, the wire hair terrier,
Acid.
Ask, was in fact a buddy. It was a sidekick,
Yes,
and he was used for comic relief.
absolutely. All right, so that's another video, Manny, about animals and
Oh, absolutely.
particularly dogs.
I got a chapter coming up in my next book about that.
Oh,
Good.
good.
And,
You mean
and
another book that people can probably find either on Amazon or at ForgottenHollywood.com, that kind of book?
yes, exactly. That
Eh,
kind of book, the
Okay.
Forgotten Hollywood book
Good,
series.
good plug.
But I'll tell you another genre where buddies were one buddy in particular that's a standout, and that's of course in the monster movies of Universal of the early 1930s. You can't think of Frankenstein or Dracula or the Invisible Man or even Son of Frankenstein without the magnificent Dwight Frye. Dwight Frye was this oddball of a character who always played an Igor-like character without ever being named Igor. He was called Fritz, and he, of course, has a terrible end in Frankenstein, as he does as Carl in Son of Frankenstein. But his most memorable role, of course, was the fly-eating Renfield, the sidekick of Dracula.
Oh
And of course,
my God.
he was,
Oh, wow.
yeah, he was looking
What,
for any kind of blood he could, so he was reduced to, of course, chewing on flies.
that's that's great recall. I had not thought about that at all. What's the actor's name?
Dwight Frye, he didn't live very long. He only lived to be 43, lived a hard life. He was nothing like the characters he portrayed on screen. And while riding on a bus in 1944, he suffered a fatal heart attack. He was
Really?
only 42 years of age. But a very memorable character. His last appearance, and appropriately, was in the movie Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. So he was just a great sidekick that always met a gruesome end because he could never match the monster's fury.
That's great. Well, Manny, will you be our sidekick?
I'd be delighted and honored.
Good. We'll have to
Actually,
do this again.
I think maybe we're more like Obi-Wan Kenobi and his two droids. Maybe we're the sidekicks to Manny.
I doubt that, but thank you for the compliment. No, it's always a pleasure being your sidekick when we're talking Hollywood. I can't think of a better way to spend a day.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. Listen, we'll keep in touch, and we'll look for you on ForgottenHollywood.com. Is that right? Did I get it right?
That's where I got my blog going. Yep.
Mhm.
Good. And where we can buy your books.
Yeah, or on Amazon. Yes,
Or
absolutely.
if you want to
Good.
binge watch Manny or some of our other great contributors, go to youtube.com / celebrating Act 2, and you'll find a playlist with Manny Pacheco all the time. He's just there
Yes.
24/7 waiting to tell you and regale you with stories. So,
Good.
anyway, thank you, Manny. Everybody be good out there, safe, and have a great time. We'll see you again soon. See ya.
For more on Celebrating Act 2, visit our webpage, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and tell your friends. Celebrating Act 2 is the user manual for the second half of your life.